The story of African energy is one of immense promise, and the leading chapters are still being written.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today to our very interesting fire chat.
You know, we've been doing a lot of work in South Africa. I just joined the company as an explorationist and really trying to understand, you know, some of the petroleum system elements that we're seeing on the offshore. So, you know, in that research and in that data interrogation, we put the pieces of the puzzle together, we feel, which is effectively that you had a really good reservoir system coming in. You had a really fantastic source rock that was around Southern Africa going into South Africa.
For Africa, energy is not simply a development issue. It is the foundation of industrial growth and competitiveness. Modern manufacturing, mineral processing, digital infrastructure, and advanced healthcare all depend on reliable power. The rapid expansion of artificial intelligence and the data-driven industries will also significantly increase energy consumption. Countries that cannot meet this demand will struggle to compete. This is why Rwanda considers nuclear energy a critical component of Africa's long-term transformation. As more countries move in this direction, international reviews and regulatory processes should not become barriers, but instead offer the necessary support. For Rwanda, small modular reactors represent the most practical way forward. They are better suited to the realities of most African countries because they can be deployed gradually and integrated into smaller grids at a lower cost. Renewable energy will remain indispensable, particularly solar and hydro, where Africa has enormous potential. But our economies cannot function efficiently on intermittent supply alone. At the center of this endeavor is the question of investment. Too often, investors hesitate because they perceive many risks in Africa. We must work to strengthen regulation, ensure consistency and accountability in order to build confidence and attract long-term capital.
Africa's economic transformation depends fundamentally on reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy systems. Across our continent, growing industrialization, rapid urbanization, expanding digital infrastructure, and increasing demand for manufacturing and mining activities require stable base load power capable of supporting long-term development. However, in considering future nuclear energy programs, several important issues must be addressed collectively. First is financing, which still remains a major challenge And thanks to Gross, who told us that financing is there, but then the architecture has to be suitable for African countries. Africa needs innovative financing mechanisms, blending financing models and risk-sharing arrangements capable of making nuclear projects bankable and accessible. Second is regulatory preparedness and institutional capacity, which are very essential. Safe, secure, and peaceful use of nuclear technology requires a strong regulatory system, skilled human resources, effective safety oversight, and adherence to international standards. Tanzania appreciates the important role being played by the International Atomic Energy Agency and other international partners in supporting African countries in these areas. Third, public confidence and awareness is critical to allay fears of nuclear threats and leverage on its opportunities. African citizenry should be aware and fully understand both the opportunities and responsibilities associated with nuclear energy development. Transparency, safety, environmental protection, and responsible governance must remain at the heart of all nuclear programs.
Are we ready to recognize together that renewable energy is essential as they may be, will no longer be sufficient on their own to drive our industrialization? In Togo, as in many countries, we believe in solar power, and we also believe in hydropower. We already provide lighting to hundreds of villages through mini grids, but we are also aware that the processing industries, data centers, artificial intelligence, and the African digital sector tomorrow will require continuous carbon-free electricity that is competitive in terms of base electricity. In this area, civil nuclear power and particularly small modular reactors and microreactors is no longer a distant option. It is, we are told, a mature option. The World Bank has lifted its historic ban on financing nuclear power, and the key and financial institutions have validated this technology because it has changed the context. It is now up to us to change our perspective. The second question is that of responsibility. What are we doing in concrete terms to make this ambition a reality? Togo, for its part, chose to act. In 2012, as if you remember, the national law on safe, secure, and peaceful nuclear use was adopted. Creation in January 2025 of Atomic Energy Commission. Election to the Board of Governors of the agency for 2025-2027, and most recently in Vienna, signing of a new cooperation framework with the agency for the next 5 years. We have committed to exploring modular micro-reactors for what is not connected to the national grid. We are ratifying international safety conventions. We are not just building the institutional credibility that makes a project bankable. Being responsible does not mean waiting. It means preparing, setting up a framework, convincing ourselves, and above all, guaranteeing our populations that African nuclear power will be born under the banner of absolute safety and transparency.
Africa, this continent that we share, is home to all of us. It's not only the home that holds our heritage, but our future of energy, security, prosperity, innovation.
It's really important that we do our own job. As we heard this morning from a very, very beautiful performance, we got some work to do.
One very, very thick wall, but one very, very distinct red line that separated many developing countries, but in particular here in Africa, from the benefits of nuclear energy was finance. And this has been a problem that has been plaguing nuclear energy development in many parts of the world. Last year, a page was turned when, after consultations with the World Bank, and I want to give a shout out to the president of the World Bank, Ajay Banga, who believed in that change could be possible. We were able to sign a historic agreement, the IAEA and the World Bank, whereby now it is possible that the doors of international finance institutions open up for nuclear as well. It is very simple, but it was not happening. When countries came to multilateral banks, development banks, finance institutions, in many cases, believe it or not, there was a prohibition. Nuclear was not to be financed. And so that was making this gap even bigger and wider and unfairer, if I can say it. But this has changed. And of course, as always, when the World Bank Group takes a direction, then the tone and the melody has changed. And very, very quickly, a number of other institutions, starting with the Asian Development Bank, we signed an agreement in Manila in December, the Latin American Development Bank, and now, of course, I can tell you that we are in a very advanced stage of conversations with the African Development Bank. So we can also bring the possibilities of financing to Africa. The Islamic Development Bank, we do have agreements with them. So all these possibilities are there. And what this does is the very important psychological and also economical barrier of de-risking achievable. So when we can have projects that are, the magic word, bankable, then things become possible. Then an SMR becomes something that is a real possibility.
Africa's challenge is therefore not one of resources. It is a challenge of transformation. The question is no longer simply, how do we electrify Africa? The question is, how do we power Africa's industrialization, digital sovereignty, and long-term growth in a sustainable way? Fortunately, it was said just now, global financial institutions are beginning once again to consider civil nuclear energy within their financing portfolios. Africa must not be an operator of this new era, energy era. Like it is popularly said, if countries are not at the table, they risk being on the menu. Africa should not simply aspire to have a seat at the table. Africa must help shape the table itself. And that's what we're trying to do at NESA. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Africa's nuclear future in the 21st century will not look like the nuclear industry in the 20th century. Small modular reactors and micro modular reactors are game changers. This technology offers greater modularity, enhanced safety, shorter construction timelines, and better adaptation to our electrical infrastructure. but they also open new possibilities, not only for electricity generation, but for industrialization, clean hydrogen production, and the digital infrastructure of the future. And here, allow me to underline an important global signal. The world's largest technologies companies, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta, are now investing massively in nuclear energy. Why? Because artificial intelligence and data center require enormous quantities of stable electricity. The digital giants have understood one essential truth. There will be no powerful artificial intelligence without reliable, dispatchable, and decarbonized energy. This is also a message for Africa. There will be no African digital sovereignty without African energy sovereignty. But let us also be clear-eyed. Ambition are good intentions alone and will not be enough to materialize that future. Financing will remain a central challenge. The cost of a capital remains high, projects remain fragmented, and many countries still lack the institutional ecosystem required to move from political ambition to bankable projects. Our objective here in Kigali is not simply to discuss nuclear energy. It is to help transform African ambition into credible and investable pathways. To do so, we must strengthen financing mechanisms, public-private partnerships, regulatory capacity, and cooperation.
Once again, visionaries and decision makers from across Africa and the globe have joined to shape the energy narrative, not only for this continent, but for the world.
A platform where the continent's most transformative energy stories are being told and shaped.